time where the Hamashiach is getting ready to come.
And hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I am the Lord.
Last words, brother.
Shalom, shalom, ma.
All right.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
All right. Shalom, Israel. Happy Feast of Trumpets.
That's right. Shalom. Happy Feast of Trumpets. Yourself, don't hurt yourself too bad, right? Blow that horn.
I'm ready.
You all right, brother? Don't pass out over there. Don't pass out.
I stalled, man. I could have kept going for another minute.
Oh, man.
Ooh, man. How's it going, Israel? So tonight we're gonna do a combined lesson, of course. And so we're gonna right after this lesson, we're gonna go into the new month, so we can go over the calendar as well. So, but y'all know the name of this. You already know the title of this lesson. Unto you, old men. Unto you, old men, I call. My voice is to the sons of man. And so, we talked about, we wanted to go ahead and talk about the men as far as our roles, their roles, and that nothing is going to change ever as far as the role of the men, because the Most High had already designated the role of the men since the beginning of the creation of man. So
that's right. So you can't get out of it.
Contrary to popular belief, with all this feminism that's going on and that's taking place and everything, that was never authorized by the Most High. Never, and never will be. But wanted to start off with Malachi, and brother, feel free to jump in whenever you want to. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 5. And it says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh." And I want you to get verse 6, because this is important, because this is what the lesson is going to be based off. It says, "And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." And so the reason why we're going so hard in the paint with this 7-year war is because we realize that a lot of our women, not only have they defaced the face of Israel, the image of Israel, but they have totally annihilated any chances of these boys growing up to be men. Because when you have boys growing up in single mothers, and not only growing up with these kids growing up with their single mothers, but they have different daddies, and that even makes it even worse, because now you have 2 or 3 babies growing up and everything. They all got different daddies and stuff. So you see how that can cause a lot of confusion, and you see how our enemies will continue to push that on us. And if that keeps going, you'll see how hard that stuff is going to be to correct in the future. It's going to take a long time to correct. So that's why we have to really wake up and get a good swift kick in the butt, to wake our people up and realize what's going on. Because I wish you all could see what we see, on a daily basis. What you got, brother?
Well, at the end of the day, right? It's just like, back in the garden. We might want to, we do have a problem, with the issue with the women, right? Even though we do have a problem with that, at the end of the day, we also have a choice, right? All the men, all the brothers, right? We have a choice, right? We have the choice whether we want to engage the wickedness or not. Just like Adam, all the way back from the beginning, right? We know that the Most High, he relies on the men to lead, right? He relies on the men to lead. So let's say, as long as we have simps and suckers out there that are willing to, go below the line, and not keep the commandments, and follow within the ways of Hamashiach, man, we're always going to have these problems. We're always going to have these issues, right, man? We need to lead. And sometimes, man, that comes with, leading with an iron fist. You know what I mean? I mean, like, as far as the brothers is concerned, like, like if you see another brother and he's out there, and he's has a lustful spirit full of fornication, he's out there, targeting, single mothers, when they know that, they need to be working out the relationship with the father of the child and things of that nature, man. We need to not start, we really need to start turning up, not turn a blind eye to that thing, we need to keep the commandments because we know that that's the only way that we can be a man. If we slide stuff by and let wickedness pass and not see anything, man, we're just as culpable as the one that's committing the wickedness.
Well, that's right.
Brother, you got anything?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
What happened? Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Good.
Am I going in and out?
No. You know what? Sorry. Hey, put a one in the comments if you can hear Brother Daniel, y'all. Okay, good. All right, there we go.
Yeah. I know my internet was acting up earlier, so I wanted to make sure I'm not going in and out.
Right,
so I'm gonna read the title. I'm gonna read the title verse that we have for the title. So Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 4. Unto you, O man, I call, and my voice is to the Son of Man. And when you read, especially when you read Exodus chapters 23 through 28, when it talks about the tabernacle and how the Most High set up the men to lead the home and direct and to make the sacrifices. And see, and there is a reason why the Most High had an order for the men specifically, because when he created Adam, everything was already prepared for Eve when she came on board. I mean, have y'all noticed that? So, when Eve, by the time Eve created, everything was already done. Everything was already ready. You know what I'm saying? She was able to just come right in and just live alongside Adam and be his helpmate. And and the Most High was setting up an example for the men of today. That's why, like, brothers, if you don't have yourselves established or whatever, and you don't have a house, a car, or a place to live, and you don't have enough, you barely have enough to sustain yourself, then you don't need to be married. Period. You don't need to have no somebody you're trying to take care of and everything, because it's up to the men, and we have to have that stuff established beforehand. And that's if we're talking about going the old way and doing it the way it's the right way and the way it's supposed to be done. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard today because a lot of these kids that are growing up, well, guess who they live with all their lives? Their mother. So if there's no father in the home, and when I say, you got to understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the majority of our women, because you have a lot of black families out there with the fathers in the home. So don't let we're not saying that every single black person doesn't have a father. We're not saying that. I'm just saying for the majority part, the homes are broken. All right, and you have way more single mothers raising their children than ever before. If you're going to compare it to the 50s and what have you. So when these boys are growing up, not having that man figure, not having that disciplinary there, and they're kind of learning off the emotions of their mother, it's like they lose that balance. They lose that balance, and our enemies know this, and this is why they spent so much money and so much time in trying to make sure that the man is completely out the home. Whether it's through welfare, the prison systems, gang related, and they know what they're doing. I mean, they sat down and they thought this whole thing out, years in advance, decades. And I want you to just think about something here, brother. And like I said, brother, if you just feel free for you to interject anytime, because I'm on a little soapbox here though. But I want you to really, really think about something. If you were the enemy and you knew that you wanted to keep a group of people down, wouldn't you? What would be the first thing you would try to destroy? The man, right? Because why would you try to destroy the man? Because first of all, the man has that ability to lead. That man has that authoritative figure, and that's why when you see us with our beards, when children see their fathers with their beards, it just, even that itself, it just rings value, you know. I saw this one video where, oh boy, it was a brother. He shaved his beard off for the first time, and it literally scared his daughter to death. And the daughter was crying because, you know, daughter was used to father having a beard. But, you know, I'm just making that point just to say that, you know, it's nothing like having a man in the home, especially when children are growing up and need that figure. And that's why so many things are unbalanced, man.
Right.
And never, ever, ever, ever in the history have seen it like this before, because it was never supposed to be like this.
Well, you know, as men, right, as real men, as men of the Lord, right, we're all lobbying to be to gain one of the spots in the 144, right? You know, that's a spot for the man. That's a spot for the man to hold, a righteous man of the Most High. Right? You got to go hard in the paint. You don't be, you know, going hard in the paint, keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. Right. So, you know, before we go to Revelation 5, real quick, you know, let me go to 1 Kings. Let me go to 1 Kings chapter 2. Right, because we got to understand what a man is. And I know I've already gone over this before, right? But, you know, I just want to make sure that we understand what a man is. It says, now the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, right? And so, you know, this also has things to do with being strong. If you want to really be a man, because we know that the Lord calls upon the men of the earth to lead, right? He wants you to be strong. Let's see how you're going to be strong. And show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that ye may prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever that thou turnest thyself. Now, you know, let's just think about this, right? For example, right? You know, if you're just naturally keeping the commandments, even in this heathen society, you're going to be able to succeed, right? You're going to be able to succeed. It says, wherever soever thou turnest thyself. That means no matter where we're at, if you're keeping the charge of the Lord, his testimonies, his laws, statutes, and commandments, it doesn't matter where you're at, right? The Most High is going to bless you, because look, I can say that myself as a testament, and I know Brother Daniel can. Just for keeping the commandments, it's easy, right? You know, you treat your brother like you want to be treated. That way, what? You're not going to have no enemies naturally, right? You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of these things that the Most High just commands for our people, you know, just to do is, if we're not worshiping ourselves, right? We're not doing any, you know, birthdays or any of this heathenistic stuff that they got going on out here, right? And we're keeping the commandments and we're worshiping the Most High, right? Yahweh and the Son Yahweh Shai. If we're worshiping in faith and truth, and we're keeping those laws, it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible for us to fail as a man, right? So let me go back to Revelation 5 real quick, right? Because we got to understand that, you know, being a man and then keeping these commandments, you know, we're just not prepping, you know, like prepping for just doing this for the hell of it, right? It says, we're going to start at verse 8. And when he had taken out the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, right? So you got 4 beasts, right? You got 4 beasts up there as guardians, and you got 24 elders. So that means you got 24 elders up there, right? Bowing before the Lamb. Man, could you imagine how much power these elders have, right? Man, you got 24 elders, and then you got 4 beasts, right? And having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints, right? So don't think that your prayers are not being heard, right? Unless you're being wicked. Now, if you're being wicked, you know, turn your ear to the commandments, Psalms. It tells you straight up that, man, the Lord's not hearing you, right? Your prayer is going to be an abomination, right? It says that they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and open the seals thereof, for thou wert slain and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, right? Because we know what? Due to the curses of Deuteronomy 28, we were spread to the 4 corners of the earth,
Yep.
and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Because kings and priests, right, men, you're going to reign. That's if you keep those commandments, you are going to be part of the first fruits. Part of the first fruits that the Most High is going to resurrect for you to rule on the earth when it's time to beat down Esau, when it's time to beat down Elam, when it's time to beat down Ishmael and lock their ass in chains and fear the other nations. You understand? Because all the nations are going to fear you. Are you going to be keeping those commandments? Because they're going to inherently want to do wickedness, because all of those nations do, because they're what? They're not the children of God, but they're the children of Satan.
That's right.
Go ahead, Al.
And it's amazing because, and I was just looking for that, and if you got it, you can pull it up. But Job, so remember, he we're talking about what it is, what a man truly is, what a man of the Most High truly is. And when you look at Job, Job is a prime example. All right. Now, even though even his wife was encouraging to curse the Most High and die, but Job, being a man, is like, look, you act as though as the foolish women. And Job held his ground. And Job also made sacrifices. When he made sacrifice for the forgiveness of his whole family, because he was like, they might have, somebody might have sinned and not knowing, but he made that sacrifice. And Job is a prime example of what it is to lead the home, to be a man in the home, to be that firm, that solid figure, And when you see stuff like that throughout the scriptures, that's our example. That's what we are to be like. But unfortunately, the heathens, they done twisted this stuff around. They done turned the women against us, and they, I'm not going to say that it's all them. Yes, it's us too. But the scriptures had already predicted what was going to happen. But at the end of the day, we have power over our body. You sisters, you have power over your vagina, and that's why, we tell you how to keep your legs closed. Stop just, letting anyone get it for free. And then, we got so many of our sisters not knowing their worth, because the way the world has conditioned our people, they condition our people to lose their virginity at such an early age. I want to read something in Joshua, because Joshua is another example how a man should lead in his home. So Joshua chapter 24, and let's look at verse 15. And it says, and if it seems evil unto you to serve Yahweh, notice how he says that, because our people, for some reason, it's like they don't like keeping laws. And like Brother Aton said earlier, the laws are easy. The laws are simple. It's a simple command to obey the Most High, that we remain his people, that we remain set apart and separate. But no, our people want to be like the other nations. And they've always chose that route. And that constantly gets us in trouble. I'll read that again. It says, and if it seems evil unto you to serve Yahweh, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether of the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in which land ye dwell. But as for me, let me read that part again. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh. And and these are the kind of men that we had back in the day, and they still exist today, but they're just so few in number, because so many of our brothers have been like overtaken by the women. And what I mean by overtaken by the women, these young brothers growing up, these young boys growing up without fathers, and growing up under the direction of their mother, have taken on a lot of effeminate traits and attributes, emotions and all that kind of stuff, and that's why
the dress style.
You see brothers
with the dress style, with the
brothers,
tight jeans and stuff.
Yeah. It's sad, because you got brothers out in the street shooting one another over emotions and stuff. That's dangerous. That is dangerous. What is it? There's an old saying, the most dangerous place is in a black woman's womb, something like that. But just talking about the fact that, you know, we see so much going on. We see so many abortions, you know, just within our people and everything. So, you know, this is a serious matter, and this is why you women, you're gonna have to really come off your pride. We're not talking about everybody in the chat box, but you know, a lot of women are gonna have to come off their pride and out their feelings and accept what the Most High has set up, because we have too many women trying to usurp authority over men. They want to do this. They want to be preachers. They want to be this. They want to be the superheroes. They want to wear the pants. You know, what's wrong with the way the Most High designed it? How come you just can't be a helpmate and be a loving and quiet, you know, like the Most High intended it to be?
All right, well, that's correct. You know, as far as you know, what as far as the men are concerned, man, you're not innocent. You know, I mean, you know, true indeed, right? A lot of you are growing up with single mothers in our community, right? But you know, just say, man, come on, we got to stop it. You know, wearing tight pants, you know, doing stuff effeminate behavior. You know, you don't want to get out in the workforce no more, right? You don't want to, you don't want to do labor. You know, you don't know how to change a tire. You don't know how to, fix motors. I mean, like, you don't know how to do a lot of stuff these days, right? And then, you know, that stems from, you know, not being introduced into like spatial awareness, which most men are, you know, like that's how your brain works. You know, spatial awareness, being able to build things and create things. That's why we have the majority of men that create, and then women they nurture, right? You know, but if you don't learn to, like, if you don't have a father figure or a man in your life, and you don't accept, you know, like try to put yourself out there to do these type of activities, you know, man activities, building things with your hands, like, you know, working with stuff, and so you can understand the way that the world works, right? Just that alone, and that like hard and sweat of the brow, you know. I mean, like no matter what you're doing, right? I'm not saying that you can't have an office job, but you know, even if you have an office job, hey, learn how to break down some motors on a car, so if you get if you get broken down on the highway or whatnot, you don't have to call out the heathen, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like these things are you know, stuff that we need to learn. And at any given time, these heathen can snatch the lights from us, you know, and then we can go down. The power grid can go down, and then you're in the dark, right? And then, you know what I'm saying? Hey, where's your skills at as a man? Do you know how to start a fire? You know, do you know how to survive in the woods? Do you know what foods to pick? What, you know what I'm saying? What berries you can eat and what you can't eat, right? You know what I'm saying? These are things that we will automatically know if we just studied the law, right? The dietary law will teach you things of that nature, right? You know what I'm saying? Even if, you know what I'm saying, other things, like, you know, we have the Feast of Tabernacles coming up, right? Does anybody know how to, you know, do y'all go out camping? You know, take your sons out camping if you got boys, right? Teach them how to build the tent, right? Teach you how to, you know, forage for water and you know, find things of that nature, right? You know, the stuff you got to learn as a man, right? You know what I'm saying? That we can continue to push the nation forward, right? If we don't have any kind of knowledge and you know, we grew up in our emotions and things of that nature, we're not going to be able to push the nation forward as men, right? It's going to continue to get weaker and weaker as these heathen infiltrate. You know, we got these heathen coming in here, right? The men are going out there, right? Because you know, the sisters are being real manly. You know, you just don't have the gall to stand up and then, you know, stamp that stamp that rebellion down, right? You know, it's only because, you know, you put up with it. It's the only reason why it continues to continues to grow. If you you know, just because something is free, right? If they're out there, let's say, for example, like I said, you know, the price of vagina is at an all-time low. It's free. They're giving it out nowadays, right? But you as a brother, you don't got to, you know, you don't have to take it, even though they have bit into the narrative that, you know, like back in the day, every woman knows, you know, every woman knows intrinsically, you know, what their value is by remaining a virgin for their husband, right? You know, but for some reason out here, they have, you know, drunk the Kool-Aid, and they believe that fornication is no longer wicked, that fornication is righteous in some kinds of way, right? It gives you a power of freedom, freedom, right? An empowerment of some reason, right? But you don't have to be a wicked nigga and go out there and try to eat of that, tainted, wicked stuff to put yourself down in that same situation. Our brothers remaining righteous, right? Standing on your square, standing on keeping those commandments, that's gonna, it's gonna trickle downhill. They're gonna understand that the men don't like that, right? Virgins are gonna return to the community, right? But it lies on us, right, man? If you see one of them low-brow, low-IQ niggas out there trying to mess with somebody's baby mama, man, pull up on that man. Be like, man, that's all you can get. Man, that's somebody else's family. You know what I mean? You want a woman that's already used. Her womb is already used by another man. Another man has humbled her. What's wrong with you? Well, out of the millions of women out there, that you can't go and get one of them. It's a simple fact, right? We got to have high IQ thinking as a people, right? We got to, it's high time that we stop. It's stop, dealing with lust. It says Romans chapter 1, verse 24. It reads, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. And that's what we're doing over and over again. So nowadays we got, these women out here, man, they're so wicked that they are the ones that are accepting this homosexual stuff into the community, man. I mean, like homosexuals, if you're a man, right, and then you got some kind of homosexual buddy, or you're allowing that stuff in your life around that, right, man, you weak. You a weak ass brother. I don't deal with that. There's no homosexuals in my life. Homosexual better not come up and talk to me. No tranny, no LGBTQ, no queer, no none of that stuff. I don't deal with no wickedness, period. Right? And as a man, we need to do the same thing.
And you know what's so sad? They only make up a small percentage. And you got a small percentage of people that are pushing this agenda, feminism. Hey, I wanted to bring out something you brought up earlier, brother. You was talking about carpentry, talking about the men and how it's important to get some kind of skill set in you so you can support yourself. Well, I remember, I don't know some of you old schoolers out there, do y'all remember when they had the vocational classes, the vocational education in the school system, especially in the South? You had carpentry, you had mechanics, you had brick masonry, plumbing, electrician, you had welding, you had all these different trades that were in high school, but they kind of started dying out in the late 90s, or I would say the early or mid 90s. They started dying out, and I'm gonna tell you why this was so detrimental to the men. Is because a lot of brothers, I'm telling you, a lot of brothers, and this is how I learned. This is how I learned carpentry. This is how I learned plumbing and all the other skills that I've obtained, growing up. And so, because I used to work in these kind of jobs as well too. But this was so detrimental to the brothers is because our enemies knew that we were becoming self-dependent, and we were self-sufficient as well, because we were building our own stuff. And the men, we're good with our hands. We're good with building with stuff, and that's the way it was meant to be. We're builders, engineers, and we build stuff. And we build stuff for our families. But they slowly took this out of the school systems, and nobody really even paid attention to it. And years later, no one, like Brother Aton says, no one has the skills. No one even know how to, you got brothers out there don't even know how to change a tire. Afraid of it. And I saw what somebody put a comment that says boys watching their mothers dress up and put up the boys watching their mothers dress up and put on makeup. That's where they learn a lot of that behavior from. And it's true, because I grew up with brothers who spent like almost doggone an hour in the mirror. I always thought that stuff was vain. I mean, dude, come on, man.
I don't know, man. It's just a lot of craziness is going on with this, this wokeism and all this
crazy,
all this stuff, right?
And yeah, can you hear me out?
Yeah, Con.
Yeah, man, and I see these brothers. It's sad. I see these men taking on all these women attributes and stuff. They going. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm old school, man. Ain't nobody, what I'm saying? That.
Yo, Okay. Con, I guess he must have blanked out. I guess Brother Daniel will be back in a minute. All right, but while he's whilst he's gone, right? Brothers, we got to step up. We got a lot of stuff that's going on. Like I say, the price of vagina is at an all-time low, and we can't be out here just because if you think about it, like a lot of brothers, man, that's all you hear nowadays is chasing tail. That's all you hear about nowadays. It's just everything's caught up in in sexual lasciviousness.
Sorry about that.
Right? And that's the whole of society right now, and that's everything you look at. When I first was growing up, man, they used to barely show kissing on the television, let alone, people that weren't married, sex scenes. But now, you got sex scenes with everybody and sex scenes with everyone. And that, when a man thinks about that, and I know that, it's your natural inclination to want to have sex with women, right? And I do understand that, but we have to have a discipline about it as well. This is why the commandments teach that if you keep them, right, the Most High, He will bless you, right? And then upon those blessings, like the scriptures, it's all right. Matthew 25, right? A lot of people say, oh, you can't have more than one wife. Hey, brother, if you don't want to do if you want to, if you don't want to be a priest of the Most High, right, and you feel that you want more than one wife to keep you from sinning, right, to keep you from out there being lascivious and then committing acts of fornication, you got to work hard to provide for that, right? Because just like Hamashiach in Matthew 25, you can have more than one wife, right? When we had the 10 virgins coming to the wedding, but 5 of them were wicked, so they didn't make it because they were unwise, and then 5 of them were wise, right? We go to Exodus, it says you can have more than one wife, right? But to get that, right, you got to be righteous. Righteous means what? You got to keep the commandments, and then from then on, then you do that, and you rise it up with that way. You just can't be out here, sleeping with all women and making all these women baby mamas without taking any kind of responsibility, right? And the Most High is going to look at that. If you're out here, you're doing what? You're making whores of the daughters of Israel. Every time you go ahead and you sleep with one of these women that's already been with some other man, they got children by other man, you turn that woman to an adulterous woman, right? You're turning that woman into a whore of Israel. And the Most High, He explicitly says that what? In Deuteronomy, that what? He's not going to be dealing with any whores of Israel or what? Sodomites of Israel. Yep. So all you, all you homosexual ass brothers, you down low brothers, the Most High is going to kill you. The Most High is going to kill you. And all praises, All right.
Anything that's not natural, man, anything that's against the Torah is going away.
Let them alone.
And all the stuff that we see that's going on has been conditioned within our people, and that's why, like, when you look at the 50s, and when you look at, matter of fact, you know what? Let me pull this up real quick. Well, y'all can pull it out. I don't want to get dropped off again. But yeah, you look at the images of the 50s of so-called Israelite families and how they were together, how the father was just sitting at the head, and they led. They led, and the heathen saw that stuff, man, and they did all they could to try to break that up. And it's just like now, if you see a Israelite man leading his woman somewhere in a grocery store, and he got his black kids with him, it's like it's something about that puts a fear, man, on our enemies' faces. They don't like seeing that stuff.
That's right.
And we didn't help the matter by allowing and going along with this warfare and going along with this whole agenda role stuff that they started doing. And they didn't. It's not like it happened overnight. This stuff was going on for the last 7 decades, and they just, every little thing they started preparing our minds for. Like, for example, when you first look when you first look at the first Avengers and these movies that was coming out, yeah, it was mostly all men, but then they'll slip a woman in there here and there. And then now you kind of see where it's becoming like even more feminist driven when you look at it. And so it's like they give you a little bait, and then they kind of play your mind and get your mind ready for it. And see, and this is how they're doing. And now it's like, man, me and brother Ethanim was talking about this last week. It's like the amount of feminism that they're pushing in these movies is just unreal, man. It's insane. it's like they just throwing the full blast at everybody, man. They just putting all kinds of stuff where you can't even watch anything anymore because it's full of feminism, and that's what they've been doing. They've been conditioning everybody's mind to accept this whole feministic type role, and that's what they want. They want the women to be the head of the home. And let me show you something. Go to Isaiah chapter 3. Let me find it here. I think it's Isaiah 3:12.
Oh boy.
It's getting crazy, y'all. It's like, man, what in the world is going on, with our people? Seeing all this stuff.
God.
All right. Isaiah 3 and 12. It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of your path. It was never supposed to be this way. You got women, you know what I'm saying? You got women superheroes, you got women feminism and all this stuff, women being the head, all that kind of stuff. This is the agenda they are pushing. Am I right or wrong, brother?
Yeah, man, all day long. That's what they're doing. And Tina Thornton, yeah, Khan, you know what I'm saying? In the beginning, there was male and female. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And also in the beginning of our nation, we got Jacob, and he set his sons and his wives upon camels. Right. At the beginning of our nation, Jacob had 4 wives. All praises to the Most High.
That's right.
All right.
And those wives were equally taken care of, So the Torah definitely says you could have more than one.
That's right.
You just can't divorce them over any of those little stupid things like these cancer.
Yeah. You're going to divorce them due to fornication.
Yep.
Right. You're going to divorce them due to fornication.
So it's going to be important, especially brothers, and those of you who got kids, man. Stay on them.
Right.
We gotta really teach. We gotta really teach. Now I know it's hard and it's frustrating sometimes because, dang, when you try to tell them something, their mother comes back and tell them something else. Oh, you ain't gotta listen to your daddy. You ain't gotta do this. You ain't gotta do all that stuff. He ain't here with you. So I'm the one paying the bills and this and that. Stuff gets crazy.
We're fighting against a lot today too. Dealing with the school systems and all these agendas that they're pushing. That's man, they're even pushing it on our kids. And a lot of that comes from back in the because it's a woman. A woman is supposed to really raise up the children, right? But the way that she raises up the children is what she's being taught from the man. Mm-hmm. Right. So, your leadership comes from the man, and men, you have to lead. You have to teach your woman the commandments, right? You have to teach your wife the commandments, right, as you lead. And then, from that, the wives are supposed to teach the children, right? The teacher teach the children the same, the same things that were instilled by your father, law, statutes, and commandments. You're supposed to pass this on down. Now here, we got these schools, we got these pronouns and all this other stuff that we got going on. Man, it's imperative that we teach our children that this stuff is wickedness. That we need to, teach against this stuff, especially as men. We need to make sure that we're going into schools, and then, we're making sure that, we're telling these teachers that, hey, I'm not cool with my kid being taught this kind of nonsense. So, I don't want my kid around that. And things of that nature, because we have to stand up as men. Because if we just like lay back, right, and then we let these folks just overrun us with wickedness, man, you don't have any control over your children that you're sending out to these heathen schools. Though I would suggest that you would homeschool your children, as you're supposed to be, right? Had we had more sisters in the home, more sisters were more traditional as far as keeping these commandments and marrying their husbands that they have babies to, right? We'll be able to teach our children a lot better. The scriptures say that, raise up the son in the way of his father, right? So then when he passes away, that his son will remain on the earth, and it'll be like a spitting image that his father never died. Roughly paraphrasing.
Yeah, and that's important thing, man. I mean, you can't. There's a saying that a woman cannot teach a young boy how to be a man. Only a man can teach him that. And when you see what's going on, and you see how these little boys are being raised only by their mothers, and it's like, and the women, they're proud of that stuff. They're proud to be raising kids by different dads. I even heard one woman was talking about, go out there and have you many baby as you can, and each time you have a baby, make sure you get child support. So you can get so you can get more welfare money. Because I guess the more kids you have, the more money you get. That stuff is just that's foolishness. That's folly, and it's wicked beyond measures. Because when you think about it, you're creating a generation. You're creating a generation of children, of fatherless children that are going to grow up with feministic behavior, and they're going to be easily controlled by their women. And see, that's why you have these brothers out here that they can go and live with these women. And I advise strongly against that. I had a brother that I had to counsel, and I'm like, look, man, even though, girlfriend, Bible don't speak about this girlfriend and boyfriend stuff. That can get out your mind. But he was talking about, he was going to go live with her. I said, no. I said, hell no, do not do that, man. You'd be better off getting you a tent and going somewhere to a homeless shelter, man, and living that way and do what you got to do. Do not move with any woman, especially, they're not keeping the laws you're not married to. Because too many of our brothers do that stuff. And then what ends up happening is that these brothers are walking on eggshells and stuff. And then as soon as something comes up, the woman ready to kick them out, disrespect them, and they get disrespected and wonder why they get disrespected and everything. And these men are just, falling like little puppies behind these women. I saw something, I see it constantly. One thing I hate seeing is when a woman is walking. I mean, when a man is walking behind a woman and he got his head down, he just following the woman. That stuff just irritates the hell out of me. It's like the woman just got her head up proud, and she's just walking, and the dude just following right behind her. I'm old school, man. I mean, ain't no way, man. A man should always be leading out, always. And brothers, and brothers, I know you heard me and Ethan tell you all the time, especially you coming up in the truth. Stay away from these women that got kids. Period. I don't care. I don't care what kind of sob story these women get. Well, my first man beat me up and he treated me so bad and everything, and then she wouldn't have had like 2 more kids by two other niggas. Well, what happened to the other nigga? Well, he's in jail. But what about the third one? Well, we just lost contact. You see what I'm saying? The foolishness and the buffoonery that goes on with this stuff. Brothers, man, don't get tricked. Don't get duped into falling for that just because you feel sorry for them and watching their kids. Because why should you have to step in and raise some other niggas' kids, especially when they're alive and everything they're about? You know what I'm saying? And then you're gonna be committing adultery because she's not married. She
literally became one with another man.
Wow. But the moment she conceives with her first child by the dude, she's done. The only choice that woman has is to get with the dude that she had the first baby with. That's it.
All right. Speaking of which, right? It's also going like you can't beat those kids. You know what I mean? Man, those women 9 times out of 10, right? They're not going to want you to beat those children that she's had with another man. 9 times out of 10. I mean, even if you had the children with that woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or so that's why it's imperative for you to be married. And she's not going to want you to hit them. But see, what does the Bible say, right?
Mm-hmm.
The book of Sirach, chapter 30, right? We're going to read a couple of verses down. It says, "He that loveth his son causeth him often to feel the rod, and he may have joy of him in the end." Because you know that men, right? Especially as little boys, we have hard heads, right? It takes a lot for us to learn. Sometimes it really does take a lot for us to learn. So the scripture says that we're supposed to feel the rod often. You know what I'm saying? That we're supposed to hand out them whoopings, right? When he's when he's cutting up, hey man, he's got to get his ass whooped. So, sisters, hey, y'all got to step down. Let him, let the dad do his job, right? It says, he that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and he shall rejoice of him among his acquaintances, right? Because at the end, those chastisements, those ass whoopings that you receive is going to help you, right? Learn, like, discipline, right? It's going to instill on how to deal with, confrontation, right? It's going to instill how to deal with physical pain and things of that nature by, getting that whooping, right? So that teaches a lot than just, the lesson that's at hand, right? So the brother's not, too emotional, or something happens, he wants to run out and get a gun and shoot his brother, right? It says, he that teaches his son grieveth the enemy, right? And how do we grieve the enemy in this land of the heathens? We have to keep the damn commandments. That's something that they don't want us to do. They don't want us to keep the commandments, right? But if we teach our son to keep them, we're going to grieve the enemy. And before his friends, he shall rejoice of him, though his father die, right? So if I pass away and I got a son, my son's name is EZEKIEL, right? Though his father die, right? Yet he as though he were not dead, for he has left one behind him that is like himself, right? So that means that when I die, right, if I train my son in the right, I raise him up correctly, give him the rod, make sure that he understands discipline, right, and to stray away from wickedness, that when I die, my son's going to raise up and be just like me. Hopefully not having to go through the same mistakes that I went through, right, because I'll be able to raise him right, and I'll be able to raise him better than my father raised me, right?
That's the whole point, and just to add to what you were saying, Proverbs 23:14, ye shall beat him with the rod, and shall deliver his soul from hell. And a lot of times, like you were saying earlier, these dudes get with these women with kids and stuff, and the moment they try to discipline them, the woman want to get all angry and kick them out the house, which, the dude shouldn't even been with the woman in the first place. But, so many people out there, they're ignorant, just ignorant to the truth. My people, the Bible says, my people in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And why is that? It's because our people are not keeping the commandments. And when you're not keeping the commandments, it's like a certain ignorance that you have that it's like, the old saying that you can't fix stupid. And, our brothers out here making the same mistakes over and over and over. And it's like ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Because a lot of our brothers ain't even thinking about trying to keep the laws. If they knew who they truly were and what they're worth as far as the priest in the home, things will be a lot different.
Another thing, right? Why the rod is so important, right? This is a pretty famous chapter right here. This is called the 23rd Psalm. And if you skip down to verse 4, it says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me," right? Because we got Hamashiach with us, right? We got the Most High with us as long as we keep those commandments. It says, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me," right? Because we want the rod and we want the staff to comfort us, means that to stray us away from wickedness, so that when we die, our soul, right, our soul will be judged with righteousness, and that we shall receive the kingdom, right? So we want the rod to be on us, right? Man, we don't want to be out here, right, making all kinds of mistakes and getting all knee deep in sin. That'll be hard for us to come out of it, right? That means that we just out here flapping in the wind and we're born in vain, right? Because we don't have it in our heart to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So it's a good thing when the Lord is chastising you, right? For that rod and that staff that comforts you. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of thine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Meaning that what? As long as the Lord, right, is keeping us with that rod and that staff, that's the same thing we got to raise up our sons, right? Our sons and our daughters. Keep them the same way. We got to keep them straight way, so they won't venture out into wickedness and get trapped in the snares of Satan, because he's out there like a roaring lion every day trying to trap us up. He's every day trying to get you out there to get another body on the notch. He's out there to try to tell you to be a pimp player, or like these other knuckleheads telling you to hey man, go out there and be a high value man, etc. So you can go and sleep with a lot of women. That's just wickedness. Yeah, man, they got the first part right. Yeah, sure. Get out there and work and be somebody, right? Work hard. Ain't nothing wrong with working hard, right? Working hard and providing for your family. But at the same time, man, you gotta make sure that stuff is coupled with keeping the commandments, coupled with your family following the feast days, right? Coupled with you being a leader and not going and not selling for any kind of wickedness. Hey, man, if she wants to celebrate birthdays, man, she can celebrate that stuff out the house. Hey, we have to be firm, deeply and rooted, right? If she wants to buy Becky's weave, right? Hey, man, don't get those sisters, a second eye, right? If they want to wear umbrellas, right, them long ass eyelashes, hey, don't get them sisters a second eye, right? Tinkling, right? All that outer beauty, that does not matter. We need to understand, right? If a sister is healthy, right, and then mentally and physically, right, because if she's physically healthy, right, we can understand that she can be mentally healthy as well by keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Now, I'm not saying that everything is physical; it's healthy mentally, right? So that's why it's very important that you do what? That you keep these commandments so you can know the signs of a person that's righteous, and the signs of the wicked, right? You got to know what a woman is as being a man, right? Know how to search for virtues in a woman, in a woman, so you could have a pillar of rest, right? Instead of pillar of stress. All right.
Everything that we read from today in the scriptures, we talked about the leadership of the men and about correcting how important it is to not spare the rod on these children growing up, especially the boys. Now, when you look at our situation, what's happening now, everything that we read in the scriptures is totally the opposite of what's happening now. For example, we did a lesson on the result of Torah breaking. So what happens when you don't spare the rod? What happens when you start babying your children? See, and this is the problem. Like when these mothers are raising their children, because the way women were made, they were made to have emotions or to care for their man. That was the whole purpose, was to be able to be that comfort for others. But because with no father being in the home, guess what? That all that emotion goes to the children. So when the children, when it comes time for the children to get disciplined, it's like they're not meant for disciplinaries. Women are not good disciplinaries at all, because they were never made to do that. So they tend to have a more compassionate type of sensation on their children. So the children grow up not being used to discipline, what have you. And then a man comes along, and it's like, you ain't my daddy, I don't have to listen to you. You see what I'm saying? And see,
the discipline is totally different, man.
Yeah.
The discipline is totally different, man. Because man, when I was a kid, and there was a difference. Like my mom would try to spank me or whatever, man. I would literally put spit on my eyes, so my mom would think she actually did something. Whereas if my dad whooped my ass, hey, I was really crying. It was no joke.
Oh yeah, you knew the difference.
Yeah, all day long.
You knew the difference. And so this is, and again, this is why we harp on this so much, because what we're seeing right now, with the agenda being pushed, and now you have generations of, you have millions of so-called black women having these babies with no fathers, and they're proud of it and everything. Well, look what you're gonna look how far you're setting us back. Just think about it. Now, our people, we don't think 5 feet in front of our faces. When the Most High told Saul to kill those people, all of them, not just some. He says kill women and children, old and young. But what did he do? Samuel had to come back and let him know, like, man, come on, how you gonna disobey the Most High? He told you to kill. He said that's what he meant. And guess what? Hundreds of years later, they came back and enslaved our people. So y'all got to understand, like, when we go against the Torah, all right, and it may seem cute, and it may seem like, and you women, and I know that many of you who are probably listening, made a mistake, but repenting is still there. You can still repent. You just can't go out there to continue to do the stuff that you were doing. You know what I'm saying? But it comes to a point where we realize when it's too late, it's too late. And it's really going to be up to you, especially you sisters. You're gonna have to really talk to these young women. And yeah, they're gonna buck against you. Yeah, they're gonna call you all kinds of stuff and everything. But you gotta do it. You gotta really talk to these sisters, because the way things are going. Did I lose connection?
No, Con, nah, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, I was making sure. So you gotta really understand what's happening. I mean, man, we need the men to stand up. We need the men to be men, but we also need the women to humble down, because that's the only way. And right now we're such in a feminist, this world is in such a feminist state mindset that it's going to take a lot of destruction in order for that to happen. So.
It's like our people aren't under the correct leadership. Okay, let's say for example, like we have a lot of nonsense going on. We see that the heathen, they're using our women really to really sow discord and make the rest of the nations hate us, right? Let's say for example, we got all this feminism crap, and our women, even though we're like I said, you only out of 288 million, the 288 million people that we have, we're only 40 million of that. What was it? 320 something million, right? We only have 41 million in the United States are our people, right? And among that, that's only half of that. 21 million is y'all. But for some reason, they to be such a small minority among these heathen, they have y'all thrust at the forefront. Thrust at the forefront. I mean, to the point where, let's say for example, right, we got the sister that played this new mermaid role, right? It's a Dutch tale, right? It's a heathen tale, right? But instead of the sister turning that role down, you could be saying, well, I don't feel comfortable about playing some heathenistic role, with some made up mermaid characters. How come we can't just settle, and then we demand as a people, hey, let's think of new roles, right? New narratives, new things to give our people something to strive for, instead of trying to remake something that these damn heathen already have. These heathen have had their first go at it, and here we are. We get the cleanup. We get the last go of it as some old rewritten story, and then they try to insert you, and these heathen is not going to like you, and these heathen ain't going to want to see you in that particular role, right? This is where it comes, when we need brothers that keep the commandments, brothers with wisdom to be ruling over these women, right? To tell them, no, this is not a good idea. You are not going to accept this role. But because we have these young women out here, they lack leadership. Because they're not in the home. They're out there with their own apartments, and they're out there alone making their own decisions, and they don't have a father to rule over them, right? We got this crap, right? You actually thought it was a good idea. You think, like somebody told this woman it's a good idea to make a woman king movie, right? Got the sister out there. It's a whole woke cast of all women that's talking about they don't need no men, right? All enemies of Israel. This stuff is just wicked as hell altogether. So that's why, as men, right, man, and I see these sucker men, they want to support this stuff. Listen, right, as a man, we have to all stick together. We can't support this stuff. You can't support any movie that says a woman king. You can't support, these movies where you have these, now our people are inserted the roles of the heathen. That's just crazy, right? You don't want to see some white man, playing a Black Panther. You don't want to see that, right? So our people, we have to remain, especially as men, right? As men, we have to be avid about, what we support and what we don't support, right? We got to keep it, we got to keep it, we got to keep it holy. Holy means separate. We cannot go along with the heathen, because if we do, man, before you know it, man, all the brothers, well, I'm not, well, they're going to be thinking it's okay to wear dresses out here and then wear pocketbooks.
Sure, they're doing that now.
Got these mini handbags and stuff like that men are carrying, and they think that's okay. Man,
bro, they doing that. They doing that now.
man, right?
Crazy.
We just got to stop Israel.
Got these fruity brothers out here doing all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's and you know it's got to be agenda because it's such a small amount of the population that that believes in that fruitcake way of thinking, right? It's such a small amount of the population, so this has to be agenda. This has to be pushed by the forces of evil. The scriptures say, right? Folks in dark shadows. We have all kinds of spiritual wickedness in high places that we're fighting against. If this stuff was harmless, like, man, you gotta think about it, right? Back in the day, these folks, right, they knew to stay in the closet because they knew it was wicked, right? Saying those ideas were weak ideas, right? Man, we can't carry ourselves into the future as a nation that strives on strength and excellence if we're settling for mediocrity, right? If we're settling for, everybody's equal, and then this, that. No, man, we have to continue to push the bar. This is why the men lead, right? We got to continue to push the bar, in righteousness. Go ahead, brother. We're gonna go ahead and get into this one second.
So we want to make sure, because we're getting ready to go ahead and into the new month. But does anybody have any questions for the lesson that we just did? If you have like a sincere question, even if you want to come on, go ahead. You want to go ahead and put the link in the box, brother.
Oh, yeah,
if you have if you have a question, or you just want to come on, or you have something that's relating to the lesson, yeah, come on. Or if you have some kind of concern or something, just make sure you show your face. When we pull you back backstage, and then you can cover your face back up once we bring you on. You just got to see who you are. That's all. Yeah. So if anybody wants to come on for a little bit, and you got a question concerning, and I know most of y'all have been following us for a while and everything. You have our other videos, our lesson videos out there just to go back and watch. But the bottom line, we're tired, y'all. Just tired of just seeing wickedness, of just seeing our people continue to go down this dark rabbit hole, and it's getting worse and worse by the day, y'all. It's really getting bad, and our people are not helping at all. They're gonna look up one day and realize why the wrath is so heavy amongst our people, because we don't want to keep the commandments. We want to continue to do wickedness, and it's like the wickedness within our people grows at a massive level every day. Yeah.
I'm
just trying to read through to see if anybody has any questions.
I want to pull something out before we go, right? Let me see.
All right, go ahead.
One last thing, right? Because I want y'all to understand. Right, it says murderers. Hold on, let me look this up, right? But while I look this up, I think it may be Revelation 20, but I don't want to flip it anymore. Let me look this up real quick on my app.
Yeah,
right. But I want you to understand, right? For all the men out there, right? The scriptures are there it is. I'm sorry. 1 Corinthians 6 and 9, right? I don't know how I got Revelation. Right, 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Right, it talks about effeminate, right? 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Right, it says, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God?" Because that's the main thing that we need to concentrate on, right? Everything else, it really doesn't amount to a hill of beans, right? Well, what we need to concentrate on is getting this kingdom. It says, "Be not deceived," neither fornicators, right? That's in the flesh, and with other doctrines, like if you're fornicating with Islam, right? If you're out there fornicating with Christianity and all these false ass doctrines, man, you ain't making it, right? No idolaters, right? If you like to celebrate birthdays, right? If you like to things like that, man, you ain't making it, right? You got other gods, man, you're not making it. Right? You think Thor's real or none of that crazy stuff, man, you ain't getting it. Adulterers, adulterers, right? That's also goes for adulteresses, right? So if you've been married, right, or if you're a man out there that's sleeping with somebody else's wife, or you're sleeping with a baby mama, nigga, you ain't making it, right? You're an adulterer. Effeminate. If you got any kind of effeminate ways, right? You know, you got these effeminate ways out there. You walk with a switch, right? You got some kind of, you know, you might be down and accepting of the LGBTQ, man. That's effeminate, right? You got any kinds of things that got effeminate ways, man. You ain't getting it. No abuses of themselves with mankind. They just tell you straight up. Now, if you are you're homosexual, you ain't making it, right? Because that's an abuser of themselves with mankind. Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers. That means you know you like to start stuff up. You like to just cause problems and you know cause violence. That's you. Extortioners, right? That means like you know, let's say for example, right? You know you're not supposed to make usury upon your brother, right? So let's say for example, if your brother asks you to borrow $1, right? You know you can't charge him $1.50 for him to borrow.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know, what I mean, you can't do that. You can't
That's
be like,
called
yes, I'll just borrow
usury.
$1, right? And then yeah, but you gotta give me $1.50 back, right? You can't get that, right? You know what I'm saying? Man, you can't do none of that stuff,
No.
right? So you know what I'm saying? If a brother asks you for $1, man, you just pay the brother $1 back, and then you can't even look for it, right? Because if whatever you give somebody, you have to give it to the tenant, give it to you know what I'm saying, like giving it to him, right? Because sometimes the brother might not be able to pay you back right away, even though he shouldn't have asked for it, right? Let me say, right? It says, extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God, right? So we know, man, we got to stay away as men. We got to stay away from all that stuff. But that alone, staying away from that stuff alone should put, you know, the other gender in their particular, you know, in their stroke, you know what I'm saying, in their virtue is keeping the commandments as long as you stay away from that stuff. Brother Alex Johnson, how many wives would you say that a man can have? As many as you can afford. There's really no limit, I would say. But you know, if you're a man of God, however, you know, let's say if you're, you know, like in the scriptures it says you're going to be a bishop, you know, and that's for a person that you know we're doing the work. Like you know, Brother Daniel, I want to say that I wouldn't profess myself to be a bishop, but I do profess myself to do some. You know, I do profess myself to do the work of the Lord. So yeah, it wouldn't be expedient for me to have more than one wife because then, you know, I'll be caring for more of the wants of her, you know, of my many wives than I would the works of the Most High. The same way that Solomon got trapped up. You know, Solomon got trapped up because he had too many women, right? Had he had one, you know, he would have been able to focus on, you know, doing the work of the Lord. But because he had so many, he got caught up with building, you know, idols that, you know, idols to Ashtar and all kind of other folly and madness, right? So you know, it's just expedient.
And the fact that we're in the land of our captivities makes it that even much harder. So do you even want to, you know, do you even really want that, you know? Yeah.
Hey, you know, we're gonna go. You know, we're gonna go against. We're gonna have the scriptures speak about us, and you know, let me get that real quick. You know, like we're gonna have our, you know, so we're gonna have our family leave us. You know, so we're gonna have problems, and they're gonna say that you're gonna be in a cult, right? Because you know those folks, they don't want to keep the commandments, right? You know, how can you have to look at it and be like, you know, how could you get upset and be keeping the law of God? I'm obeying what God says, and you're mad at that, right? That's how you know that they have Satan on them, right? So you should feel good that those unclean spirits are leaving your life, right? Because it could be of your own family, right? They could be of your very own family. Go ahead, that's lucky.
Yep.
You wanted to get something? Oh,
no, you good. Yeah. And that's good. You know, you're probably being saved from, you know, as Most High just saving you, you know, from all that headache and everything too. So, all right. I'm gonna pull this up here, and then I'll add this to the title later. You know, but of course, y'all know that we're at the very last day of this. Well, actually, it's the first day of the new month, but I just wanted to bring this up. Can you see this? Okay.
I can see that. Yeah, but we gotta go to.
Yeah. If you look at the very last, so now y'all know by now how to read the calendar and everything. And so when you look at the 6th month, okay, and we've already had our new moon, 20th of August. So when you go all the way down to September, and you know we're gonna, you know, I wanna be able to like take these the growing months off, but I think we still probably need to go for a few more years before we start adjusting more into that to kind of just get you all acclimated. into reading the calendar. But if you look over at the color legend, again, for those who are new and on here, I'll read that again so you all can see what's going on. So the black numbers, upper left corner on the calendar, are the Hebrew days, months. So when you see, so this is like you have 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31. And this is that 31 month. So when you look at these black numbers, these will always be the Hebrew days. And when you go all the way back to the beginning, let me just, so you're not confused. So the beginning of the month is measured off the spring equinox. That's what begins. And then you count 14 days from the spring equinox, like it says in Enoch, is where the days start. So the moon does not bring in the new year. The sun actually closes and brings in the new year. All right. And this is why everything stays the same all year round. And we have precepts on there as you go through the different calendars and everything. All right. When you read the note at the bottom, I'll just read that part where it says the Hebrew Israelite months are numbered in the following order, starting with the equinox in Abib, 1:30, 2:30, 3:31. That's your first quarter. 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and then of course your second quarter, so and so forth. And you'll get it, and it's done that way because that's the way the scriptures numbered it. So it's not 365 days like the heathens do it, but the Enoch, it revolves around the 364 days. Which makes
it's not 360 days either, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's 30. It's 52 weeks of perfect 7. Right?
Yep.
It's the Most High, He didn't cut it off in the middle of a week or doing anything like that. If you're listening to any kind of that foolishness, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. It's 52 weeks of perfect 7 days. Right. 5 + 2 is 7. Even the maths. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it seems like it would. What I mean?
I love studying the luminaries and on the property when I go out there because it's so dark out there and you can like literally see, you can just see the clusters, the Milky Way, all that stuff. And I've been studying the luminaries for many years now, and just looking at the rotations. And when you look at it, it's certain year, everything is always the same. No matter when it is, it always falls in the same kind of rotation. That's the same with the feast days. The feast days are going to always be the same. They're never going to jump around like the heathens do it because they follow off the new moon. And when you look at Psalms 109, he appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth is going down. So the moon, the purpose of the moon is to bring in the seasons, so we can measure off the seasons. Because like when the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter is. And beginning of each quarters, you have spring, spring, summer, fall, and winter. So then it starts back all over again.
If they don't bring in the first day, no matter what you hear this. The new moon brings in the first day. No, because if you go off that, every few years you end up with 13 months in the year, and there's nowhere in the scriptures that anyone can ever prove that we have 13 months in a year. That's just wickedness, and that's going off the heathen.
And we tell anybody, if you want to challenge us, if you want to come on and challenge us, we welcome anybody because, when me and brother, we worked in this calendar, we worked on this thing for years, and and he could tell you, I wouldn't want to even put out one because it was like so many people are putting out calendars, but there's nothing to show their work. And it's like, okay, if we're going to put out one, then there's going to have to be something where people are going to be able to just go and study the precepts and look it up themselves. And this is why we have everything on there, And we've had a few brothers that say, "Oh man, you guys are off. You're wrong." Okay, well, come state your case. Come state your case, and we'll bring out the scripture because we totally went by the scriptures on this one. We didn't go by our own, own ways or anything like that. No, we totally went by the scriptures. And the reason why the camps don't follow this is because they don't, they consider the book of Jasher, Enoch, abomination. So they don't follow the book of Enoch or Jasher or Jubilees. So that kind of leaves a gap in there for error.
And the camps don't follow this. Like every year they come out with some made up piece of paper that they put out. dealing with the months, right? It's never the same. Like, the scriptures say that, let's say, for example, the day of the Passover, it's not going to change, right? Passover is the same day every single year as the rest of these feast days that are set. Said the feast days are set, meaning that they don't, like, next year it's not going to be on a Thursday if it was on a Tuesday this year, right? It's not going to all of a sudden, if it was on a Saturday this year, it's not going to pop off to be on a Wednesday next year. That's not how it works, right? The Most High, He has a set calendar. It's set. If it's Tuesday this year, it's going to be Tuesday next year. Tuesday the following year, Tuesday that year as well. You know what I'm saying? On until eternity. It doesn't switch around, right? Along and it works with the luminaries, right? You know, man, that's why these heathens, they have these leap years and doing all this other stuff. Like, if you go by this calendar and you can stretch it out for 20, 30, 100 years out. Right? You'll see that some kind of way, mysteriously, that the heathen calendar, it always comes back right into the line of the Most High's calendar, because they know, it'll be off a couple, it'll get off a little bit as we see. Let's say, for example, we got the month of October, right? But they want to tell you that's the 10th month, but the literal octo, right? That's a prefix for the number 8, right? So we know that's the 8th month of the year, right? We have October, we have November, no. Right, you know what I'm saying? That's the prefix for 9, right? You know what I'm saying? So forth. Let's say of September, that's the prefix for SEPT. That's a prefix for 7, right? And so, instead of being the 9th month, they want to tell you that. They want to tell you that's the 9th month instead of the 7th month, right? Because they want you to believe that the year starts in the winter when everything's dead, when that doesn't make sense, right? And the new year always happens in the spring when everything is new, right?
Yeah, pagan holidays. So when we look at now, let's go to the end of the month, of the Hebrew month, 31, which day is 17 sunset, which is 17 September on the Gregorian, all right? And so we have the 31st sundown of Elu, the month of Elu, to the first sundown of the month Ether. So we're going to go to the 7th month. So the 7th month technically has begun at sunset. All right.
Gone.
So we'll say the date is the 18th of September as a sunset. Right. So let's
it has been the Feast of Trumpets. Today is the Feast of Trumpets.
Yep. So I'm going to get the scripture. I already got it set already. Let me pull that up right quick.
Leviticus. I got it already up. Leviticus 24.
Leviticus 23. Yep. So let's look at that. Okay, Leviticus 23 and 24, and says, and Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Shabbat, a memorial of blowing of the shofar, the trumpet, a holy assembly. So the day is like a Shabbat. Okay, so that means that no buying and selling, no buying or selling on this day. Now you can prepare food and what have you, because this is a feast celebration.
God.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I'm going to read down. I'm going to read down here. It says, "Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh." And Yahweh spoke on, and then I'll just move that verse 25 before we go to the next one. So these feasts, we always had a sacrifice, but because Hamashiach, because he died for Israel, he supported that lamb, so he is the sacrificial lamb. But this is a remembrance that we are still to keep, all right? And it is to be treated like a Shabbat.
Oh, that's right.
A Shabbat.
Well, we can go to Numbers 29 and 1. It says, and in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, right, ye shall have a holy convocation.
Yep.
Right, a holy gathering, right? You shall do no servile work, meaning that, we can't work today. You know what I'm saying? Today all the way till tomorrow sundown.
Yep.
So in the morning times you got to be somewhere at work. No, you can't do that, right? You're going to have to chill out. It says, is the blowing of the trumpets unto you. Right? So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be blowing the trumpets, right, on the holy convocation, which is going to be today all the way until tomorrow sundown. Right, so holy convocation, that means we're not going to do no servile work. It's just like a new moon holiday, right? We're going to be able to cook and things of that nature, but, as far as you going out there and working, that's a no-go.
That's right. And let's talk about what some of these trumpets mean. So, when we look at trumpets, let's look at the significance, okay? When they marched around Jericho, 7 days? On the 7th day, they blew that trumpet. Also, tribes used to communicate with shofars as well, too. Then you have the 7 trumpets in Revelation. So the trumpets is a sign of deliverance as well, too. Not only of war, but of deliverance for our people. And this is why it's so important to remember these feasts and keep the righteous acts.
7 seals, 7 trumpets, right?
Yep. So when you think about that, when you think about that shout, when you think about that, when you hear that hard shout, it's like, what's going on. They'll sound like that, but it's gonna be like it's
breaking wind over there. I gotta fix that.
Yeah, let me get it.
What's going on?
A little more trumpety here.
There we go.
You hear that? You hear that noise. You gotta realize, boys, it's getting ready to go down. It's getting ready to go down. You're talking about no little trumpet sound. I'm talking about something like boisterous, thunderous. All right. And so when you look at this, when you look at this calendar, we made it so easy. We made it so easy to read and understand. All you got to do is just study the precepts month by month. Study the precepts, and we have several. We have like three feasts in this month. So we have quite a few feasts in this month, and it's the only month where you have 3 feasts back to back.
All right.
All right. Anything else on trumpets, brother, before we move on?
God, nah, man, that's it for the Feast of Trumpets. Next up, we got the Day of Atonement. Oh, pull the calendar back up on the screen now.
Can you see it?
Nah.
Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. Gotcha.
Let's go. All right. We have the Day of Atonement, right? So this is going to be on the 26th of September through the 27th of September, right? We also got a new moon on this day, so it looks like we got it's going to be a real good day, right?
Yeah.
So that means it's going to start on sundown, right? You know what I'm saying? Sundown on Monday, it's going to carry through sundown on Tuesday. Okay. The scripture, let's go ahead and get that, right?
Go ahead.
Look at that. God. This is Leviticus 23:27, I believe. God. Let me mark this real quick for us. It says also on the 10th day of this month, right? Because it's on the 10th day, because the first day starts on a sundown Saturday, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to the 10th day, right? So that's going to be technically sundown on the 9th day, right? So sundown on the 26th of September, which would be the heathen day, but the 9th for us, the sundown on the 9th will bring in the 10th day, right? So it says, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, right? And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. But whatsoever soul be it that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he shall be cut off from among his people, right? And what's the word? Oh, go ahead.
Now, the word affliction simply means fasting, because what you're doing is when you fasting, you're denying yourself of any kind of liquids and solids. Now, on this day, it's so important because the Most High only asks us to do this one day out the year, which is the sunset of the 9th of the 7th month to the 10th of the 7th month. So that means absolutely no water, no food, no gum chewing, no mints, nothing, not even brushing your teeth.
It's a full purge, right?
Yeah.
Purge or on our knees,
yeah,
praying to the Most High.
And that is a day that you definitely want to be off work. You definitely don't want to be working on that day. It is a Shabbat, more Shabbat. No buying and selling, nothing.
So remember, so that Tuesday, you can't be at work.
No. That's like a day that you absolutely do nothing but afflict your soul. And afflict is talking about the fasting part, because when you deny yourself of any kind of liquids and solids.
Substance.
You're taking your substance. You're taking your body. Your body is going through a what you call it? There's a word for it. Ketosis, something
Purging
like
phase, a cleansing phase.
So you're gonna feel. You're gonna start feeling some hunger pain. You're gonna start feeling some, like, really, temptation, and that's the time to really, really constantly pray and pray and pray.
There's folks that go out this world without food for days, right? There's people out here on this earth that are starving, and that they might not eat for days. So this kind of thing, it shouldn't be too hard for you to do, to go one day without food or water, right? One day, that's it. 24 hours. Take off from work, fast. Get away from any video games, any kind of craziness, anything like that. This is a day of atonement. You have to, so this happens once every year. Right, so you got to pray and go and ask the Lord for forgiveness. A day of atonement, right? This is a day for forgiveness, a day of repenting. In other words, like a day of atonement, you can also name it the day of repenting, which means that what you're fasting for, you don't want to turn around and have to repent for the same thing again next year, right? You don't want to have to turn around and then you'll be fasting for the same thing that you were supposed to repent from last year. Here you are again. It's like a cow returned back to a mire. A dog returning back to his vomit, right? You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that in the eyes of the Most High. So every year that we come through with a Day of Atonement, make sure you pick something that you know that you can stick with, that you next year when it comes around, you don't have to be right back at the foot of the Lord, begging for forgiveness.
And this is the day that the priest went into the most holy place once a year to atone for the sins of Israel. And so this is important. Why? Because every year, the priests, they would operate from the holy place all the way to the court, back and forth every day. But once a year, where the Most High above that, that's where the priest would go into once a year to present the sins before the Father, so they could be placed upon the goat, and this goat was sent out. And you can read that in Exodus. And so this is why this is such an important event to remember. Okay. Why? Because you have the Hamashiach right now interceding for his people to his Father, and that is serious, because when the Bible says in Revelation, let him who is filthy, let him be filthy still. Let him who is righteous, let him be righteous still.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And so when that decision is made, you're already set. You can't try to do something at the last minute and make that stuff up and try to be like, I'm gonna get right. You have to practice that now. You have to start practicing working out your salvation with fear and trembling now. Whatever you got to do, you need to start working on that now. And you can fast during the year. There's no law that says that you cannot fast. You cannot fast on the Shabbat, of course. That's the only time. But you can fast anytime during the year. But there's only one day out the year that is mandatory, that is required by the Most High, and that is on the sunset of the 9th to the 10th, the sunset of the 10th on the 7th month.
That means you can't no buying or selling either, right? No buying or selling, right? It says Numbers 29:7, that ye shall have on the 10th day of this 7th month a holy convocation, right? And ye shall afflict your souls, like Brother Daniel said. That means you're going to be fasting, and ye shall not do any work therein, all right? That's the same thing. Like if you're not working, what does that mean? That means that the businesses are not open, right? If you're in Israel and you are not working, that means that the businesses are not open. So if the businesses are not open, that means you're not buying and selling, right? So that's not. So that means that on these days, right? Make sure that you get prepared, right? Let's not be like we always are as a people, doing things last minute. We're not doing things ahead of time. Like let's prepare for these feast days. They're actually on the calendar. You can see them ahead of time. So when you have a Day of Atonement coming up, make sure that you got all your bills paid, and so you're not, worried about, said this, that, or the third. So when this day comes, you're prepared to fast. Hey, I don't care if you got to eat a few more sandwiches the next day to get ready. Whatever you need to do, brother, but or sister. But when the when the Day of Atonement comes around, or the Day of Repentance, comes around, hey man, you need to be ready, right? You need to be ready.
And look, if you with your family and everything too, this is a good time to come together, and it wouldn't hurt. We got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got about 7 days, roughly before the Day of Atonement. it wouldn't hurt maybe to go half a day, like halfway there, maybe like on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. Maybe go like half a day without food, just to kind of get your body prepared and start getting it ready and everything. Because that's something that we have to. And this should be a sign to kind of help us prepare ourselves, And this is what we really want to get into and everything. And
we need to start fasting more, anyways, as a people, right?
Yeah,
just as a people, anyways. Like if we're truly crying and sighing out to the Most High, to me too. You know what I'm saying? Me too. Personally, I need to get my fasting game up too. I need to get my fasting game up to show that I'm serious about getting the hell out of this captivity.
Yeah. And we have a double feast. So, and on the sunset of the 26th also is the new moon.
Right?
So,
No cooking.
No cooking. No, that's the only time you cannot cook. So it's, even if the new moon falls on a feast day, nothing. I mean, because the Day of Atonement takes precedence.
Right.
It's just like if a new moon fell on the Shabbat. All right, the Shabbat takes precedence. You cannot cook on the Shabbat.
All right, let me see what we got next. We got Sakuth. We got Sakuth. However you want to. Right, Sakuth.
Better known as the Feast of Tabernacles, but that is one of my favorite ones.
Mine too. All right, let's go to Leviticus 23.
All right.
Got all these good laws in there. Now, as you see, also in the caption, right, we have all the scriptures, right? As you see on the left side of the calendar, if you're looking at it, right, it says Ethanim, Feast of Trumpets, right? Yom Teruah, right? The 31st sundown, right? Elul to the first of sundown, Ethanim. Leviticus, right? We're telling you exactly where the scriptures at, where to be found, right? Leviticus 23, verses 24 through 25, Salakia, right? It says we also got the book of Numbers, chapter 29, verses 1. Now we're at the Day of Atonement, right? It says the 9th sundown to the 10th sundown. We gave you the scripture. It's all right here on the left-hand side. Leviticus chapter 23, verses 27 through 32. On every single video that we have up dealing with our calendar, you will see emphatic proof that this is the correct way to go by. We don't have nothing to do with going by the moon or doing all this other stuff,
Exactly.
right? The moon's for seasons. Every single month. We're going to do this for all 12 months. We're in month 7 right now, Ethanim, right? Like we always say, we have 2 months out of the year that we don't have a name for. If you know of any secret scripts or anything like that, we would love to check it out and read over it and to see if we can, find anything pertaining to that in the scriptures. Right, but like I said, we're going to go over this month by month. We're going to show you guys the proof and the scriptures to go along with it. No crazy 13 months or no stuff like that. Stuff's going to stay the same. The feast days are set. Right, the feast days are set. Right, so starting sundown, right, so right after the Shabbat, right, the 14th, starting the 14th to sundown, right, which would be technically October the 1st, I says, right? But the 14th is sundown, right? October the 1st is sundown. We're going to start the Feast of Tabernacles, right? What was that? Leviticus 23.
Yeah, Leviticus 23, 33, and through 44.
All right, Con, you want to go over that?
Yeah, let's read that right quick.
Bring it out.
Okay, you have it up?
Yeah, Con. Yeah, Con, I got it up already.
Okay, got it.
Hey, and if you don't see where we're getting it from, Israel, if you want to look right, if you want to look all the way to the right-hand side, where you see the color legend, it says the black numbers, upper left-hand corner of the calendar are the Hebrew months, days, right? The colored days as it would appear on the modern-day calendar.
Yep.
The months are color-coded by red and blue. Ethanim, right? And then we got down, it says Ethanim, Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, right? It says from 14 sundown to the 21st sundown. And we give you all the scriptures that we got listed in the scriptures to reference, right, when this day is, right? So the first one that we're going over right now, as you see in the bottom right-hand corner, it says Leviticus chapter 23, verses 33 through 34. All right, I'm going to take it over.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, come. All right. Leviticus, everybody turn your Bibles. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33.
All right, so let's look at this right quick. And it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month shall be the feast of Tabernacles, or Katah.
Right. So hold up real quick before you go on. Right now, you see on the calendar, even though the 14th is lit up, right? Even though the 14th is lit up, it starts. We just put that like that, so you know that it starts on the sundown of the 14th, which will make it the 15th day.
Yep.
All right. Sundown on the 14th will make it the 15th day. All right, because we know that the day starts at even. Right, the day starts at the evening. All right, go ahead.
So feast of Sukkot for 7 days unto Yahweh. Now you're going to see why, and what this whole feast of Tabernacles really means. So verse 35: On the first day shall be a holy assembly; ye shall do no severe work therein. So let me stop right there, and so let's look back at the calendar. All right. So the first day and the last days are going to always be the Shabbats of the feast of the feast of Sukkot.
That's right.
So sunset Shabbat to sunset Sunday. That's going to be the Shabbat.
John. Well, now, me just telling you that that's a different, you know what I'm saying? That's a holy convocation day. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll be celebrated just like you celebrate the Shabbat, minus the cooking, because you'll be able to cook on that day.
Yep.
Now, and now the original Shabbat, you know, say as we have it on the calendar, as you see all the way down at the bottom right-hand corner, the weekly Shabbats are always sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. That's going to never change no matter what. You know, I don't want you guys to think all of a sudden we tried to change it up. He's just saying that, you know, starting on sundown Saturday, you know, right after we come off the Shabbat, we're going to have another Shabbat. Okay, so it'll be another Shabbat right again. That's going to bring in, that's going to be the day of Holy Convocation. That's going to bring in the Feast of Tabernacles.
Nope, that's correct. All right, let's go back here. All right, verse 36, and it says, For 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy assembly. So let me stop right there. It says on the 8th day. So when you look at that's the last day. It's going to be another Shabbat.
That's right.
Until sunset on the 8th.
All right. So it's going to last all the way through, right?
Yep.
So sundown from Saturday, right, all the way down through sundown. That's going to be 8 days. So
let me read that verse again. 7 days ye shall offer an offering. Now we know that because Hamashiach has become the sacrificial lamb. You know, you can cook and everything, but as far as, you know, offering a lamb or what have you, you know, that's not necessary, because that has already been fulfilled. The law of sacrifice has already been fulfilled by the Hamashiach, but it is still to be kept and remembered and practiced. You know, as far as staying in the boots, and we're going to explain that in a minute here. All right. So these are the feast. Let me read that again. For 7 days shall ye make an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy assembly unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no severe work therein. Verse 37, these are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy assemblies. Now hear that, to be holy assemblies. To offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon his day. And it goes on to say, besides the Shabbat Yahweh, and besides your gifts, besides all your vows, and besides all your free will offerings, which ye give unto Yahweh. All right. Also in the 14th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. And on the first day shall be a Shabbat, somebody again. And on the 8th day shall be a Shabbat. So they're still talking about the Feast of Tabernacles. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before Yahweh. So this is something that we always do. So when we put our tents up, we take the boughs of the goodly trees, branches, and then a couple of palms, palms from trees, and I like to stick them around the tent and everything because when you palm represents a sense of freedom. And remember when we talked about in Revelation that they had white palms in their hands, and that's a sign of deliverance. And so this reminds us every year. This reminds us how we dwelt in tents in the wilderness with the Most High during the 40 years. And this is something that we should always remember. 7 days. And in verse 41 it says, "And ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever." Now this is important because it says it shall be a statute forever. It didn't say to a certain time. It says a statute forever in your generations, meaning that this was supposed to be passed down, like Brother Ethanim was saying earlier in the last lesson, that we were supposed to teach the laws to our children, and they were supposed to pass it down. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. And yep, and ye shall dwell in and it was technically, if you translate this as booths or tents, 7 days. All that are Yasharel born shall dwell in booths.
The children, all Israel.
Yeah, all Israel. It says that your generation may know that and he's going to give the reason right here, that your generations may know that I made the children of Yasharel to dwell in booths or tents when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh. So y'all see how important that is? So when we celebrate Sukkot, or better known as the Feast of Tabernacles, what are we celebrating? We are celebrating our deliverance from the bondage of the Egyptians. That's what we're celebrating. So I want you to be clear when we celebrate the feast days. There's always a reason behind these feasts. We're not just celebrating this for the hell of it. There is meaning and reasoning behind these feasts, and this is why we are to practice the righteous acts of the Most High. All right, and this should be this would be such a blessing, because this was the time that during the 40 years, the pillar, it was you had the pillar by day and the fire by night. And so y'all see this little picture. I'm gonna see if I can blow this up a little bit. If you look at the upper right corner, where you see this picture right here. Can you see that out?
Yeah, God, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at that right here.
Now, okay. Well,
when you look at that picture, what do you see? You see all these little booths or tents around the tabernacle, and you see that fire, that pillar of fire by night. Go ahead, Al. You about to say something?
Yeah. Well, the only thing I was going to say is that, as far as the free will offerings and things of that nature, right? And like those things are usually for sin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just like sacrifice it for sin and things of that nature. Even if you had like a free will offering, far as like if you had the bull of a goat of the first year, a bullock of the first year, and he was unblemished, and then you just wanted to give up to the Lord for a sacrifice and things of that nature. We don't do that anymore, right? We have repentance, which we was we have repenting now, and that's why I was stressing, especially during the Day of Atonement. Hey, we got to make sure that we're keeping those commandments, because the Day of Atonement. Notice that the Day of Atonement is right before the cook, right? So meaning that it shouldn't be a whole lot of sacrifices of lambs and goats of all that stuff, because if you just got done doing the Day of Atonement of trying to repent and then keep the commandments, right, during the Sukkot time, everything it should be like a free will offering, but we don't have any goats and we don't do that stuff anymore. So as in rehearsing the righteous acts, now that Hamashiach came to die for our sins, we just ask for forgiveness, and we do our repentance through the Hamashiach.
Now however, you do have some brothers that still practice that, but some of these brothers, they they kind of they follow the same tradition as the Khazars do, but that's what they do, but that does not, when you read the scriptures, and when it comes to Hamashiach making that sacrifice for us and everything, he is that sacrificial lamb.
And like I want to say something also, right? As you see, right, when we have these feast days and we have them all laid out, you want to say like nothing overlaps, right? Let's say, for example, is you see how the 8th day, you know what I'm saying, comes back into the Shabbat, comes into the to the Shabbat. So you have a, well, let me see, what was that? Just keep should take on the first day, let's lock it. 7 days. On the first day should be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day should be a Sabbath, right? It goes all the way through, and it makes sure that nothing is out of order, right? Everything is as it should be, no matter what we do, you know what I'm saying, in the scriptures, because the correct way of doing these, nothing's going to overlap. You're always going to have things where they line up. Like, you're never going to have the Passover on the Shabbat. But if you have the new moon, but if you say that the new moon is the first day of the week, hey man, you might end up having the Passover on the Shabbat one time, or you might have, you know what I'm saying, also some kind of crazy stuff like the way these guys be doing it, right? The Passover might pop up on the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? What? You know what I'm saying? The fact that the Passover doesn't happen on sundown on Friday. You know what I mean? It never happens like that. It's always the same every single month. Just like the Sukkot is the same with the Day of Atonement, the same with the Feast of Trumpets, and every other feast day. They're set.
Yep. Always. Now let's look at let's look at Numbers 29 and 12. We're still talking about the Sukkot. And it says, and on the 15th day of the seventh month, ye shall have a holy assembly, and ye shall do no severe work, and ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. So it's saying the same thing, you know. It's just giving you, you know, it's just confirming what's already said in the Torah already. So, and this is something that, you know, we have to remember, and this is something that we should never, ever, ever forget. And I'm gonna tell you something. This is really fun when you have a family to celebrate this with, because the feast days were meant, you know, for the families. You know, the families would get together and they would celebrate. They would set little booths on top of their little houses, whatever, and everything. So if you have a family, you know, hey, look, y'all can set that stuff up in the backyard. If you have an apartment, if a balcony, you can set up a tent on your little balcony. You know. Right. Now I understand you may have some elderly women, maybe with arthritis, and you can't like do that kind of stuff because your body may be sensitive to the cold. You know, then set up a tent next to your little patio slider, you know, right there, so you can be being there comfortable. The whole idea is going through the motions with this, because that's the importance of this. You know, it's the love of the commandments that we have for the Most High. And when we truly keep these commandments with sincerity in our heart and everything, it feels real. We remind ourselves of what our forefathers went through. We remind ourselves of the coming deliverance if we remain faithful. You know, and this is why we practice these righteous acts. None of this stuff should be burdensome at all. None of it. It is so simple. You can have so much fun with this. You know. You can even do you can even do skits with your family members during this whole week of Sukkot. You know, you can enact, you can react of leaving from Egypt. You know, do some role playing or something like that. You know, make it fun.
And you know what's important, right? For us to keep these commandments. And I'm going to go to Judges chapter 5 and 11. It says, "They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of the drawing water." Mm-hmm. There they should rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, right? Because we're going to be rehearsing these righteous acts, and we're going to be delivered from the noise of the archers in the drawing place of the water, right? This is a future prophecy, meaning that when it's time for these heathens, right, where they're going to be drawing with the sounds of their weapons and things of that nature to try to come against Israel, right? It's going to be us that's going to be rehearsing the righteous acts are going to be saved. It says, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of the villages of Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down into the gates. That's because those days we're going to be rehearsing the righteous acts. If we rehearse the righteous acts now, and then, you know, that's why we have this calendar and all these, you know, on the different days and the way they're set, and explaining you guys how to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. By rehearsing the righteous acts, if we make it right, you know, so you're already going to be ready to go through the wilderness, right? You're going to be ready. You're not going to be one of those ones that's not going to know what's going on. You know, you're not going to be one of those ones that's going to be lost, you know what I'm saying, and thinking that this stuff is going to come second nature to you, right? Because you have been rehearsing the righteous acts. You have been getting your spirit ready and strengthening it up, you know what I'm saying, with the spirit of Hamashiach, right? So we can fight against this wickedness and we can get this kingdom and get the hell up out of here, right? Yeah,
and let's look at Jubilees. Let's look at Jubilees 16, because I want to show you something else too. And, you know, these feast days are serious, man, and
God,
you got to keep them throughout our generation. So Jubilees chapter 16, we'll start with verse 29. And it says, for this reason, and it's also listed in the calendar, so you can study those precepts. For this reason, it is ordained on the heavenly tablets. You hear that? It is ordained on the heavenly tablets concerning Yasharel, that they shall celebrate the feast of Sukkot 7 days with joy in the 7th month, acceptable before Yahweh, a statute forever throughout their generations, every year.
You know what, man? We got a matter of fact, we should have added all the way down to verse 31.
No, well, that's what I'm about to read. That I'm about to read the other one. Yeah, and it says, and to this there is no limit of days, for it is ordained forever regarding Yasharel's, that they should celebrate it and dwell in Sukkot, and set wreaths upon their heads, and take leafy boughs and willows from the brook. And Abraham took branches of palm trees, and the fruit we read in Leviticus of goodly trees, and every day going around the altar with the branches 7 times a day in the morning, he praised and gave thanks to his Elohim for all things in joy. And see, and this was the reason why our people, kept forgetting stuff, because they never. It's like they kept forgetting the graces of the Most High, even though they were in the wilderness for 40 years. It took 40 years for them to be in the wilderness in order to get it. But we were never able. We were never ever supposed to forget these feast days. But unfortunately, look who we are, because our forefathers forgot them, and now we're scattered to the 4 corners. And now we're picking up the bits and pieces of what we have, and trying to do the best what we have with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength.
Absolutely. The scriptures are clear, and it says, and we blessed him forever, and his seed after him throughout all the generations of the earth, because he celebrated this festival in its season, right? According to the testimonies of the heavenly tablets. Right. So, the scriptures always, especially the way that we do the new moons, right? We have 4 seasons and the way it's broken up. It's always going to be in the season, right? It's always going to be in a set time on every single month after month after month. The days don't change, right? 364, 52 weeks of perfect 7, right? The Most High would not cut off the year in the middle of a week. Doesn't make sense, right? The scriptures say
even the heathens leap year. Even the heathens leap years and stuff like that were not even affected, because the equinox. That's one thing. See, I'm gonna share a secret with you all. One thing that the heathens cannot touch. Y'all know what that is? Now they may be able to kind of like try to mess up some translations in the scriptures, but the one thing they cannot touch is the luminaries, because they cannot leave the dome. They've tried many times. They try to blow up the dome, but they can't. So the luminaries tells the true facts. All right, you cannot go wrong with the luminaries. And so that's why I said that the heathens calendar will never have any kind of bearing on the Hebrew calendar, because the Hebrew calendar is based off the luminaries, and that's one thing they cannot mistranslate or try to alter. And that's why them boys, before the word was even written, that's what they were masters in. They were masters in the luminaries. That's why everything was always so precise. They were able to everything. They knew when everything was going to be, and they knew how to calculate the days because of the luminaries, not because of what some man written down or made up.
That's right.
So this calendar is strictly based off the luminaries and the way it's supposed to be. So that's why when we go off the equinox, it'll never lie. I have a little sundial on my handmade sundial on my property, and every year, when the spring equinox hits in that same spot every year, and it shows the equal amount of day and the equal amount of night. So it's like you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with the Most High's luminaries. That's the way He has it designed. So. And
just to think about it, like as they all try to tell you the daylight savings time and all this other stuff, right? Compared to the heathen heliocentric model that you tell you that you're traveling around the earth or whatever, then how come the speed isn't the same? Then all of a sudden, we going slow at one point and fast one point. No, it's not like that. We know that the earth, right? The reason why you have 6 months of daylight in one area of the earth is 6 months of sunlight, and then it switches on and off and it rotates is because the the circuit of the sun it shrinks. It shrinks as it gets it shrinks as it gets higher, and it expands as it gets lower. Like the scriptures are crystal clear on how the earth works and the way that the things are, right? Compared to this wild ass heathen kind of thing that they got you thinking that you're just floating off in the middle of nowhere somewhere, right? But instead, right, you're in front of the throne of the Most High, right? You see those aurora lights, probably more likely the lights at the bottom of the throne, of the rainbow lights that are swirling around the bottom of the Most High's throne. This stuff is it's very real. It's very real. They want to keep you away from your God. They want you to believe that Yahweh is not nearby and that you can't call upon the voice of the Lord to deliver you from the situation that we're in. As long as we continue to worship the ways of these heathen, celebrate these pagan holidays and doing the things of that nature, man, we're never going to get out of here. So we're always going to stay diluted and deaf, dumb, and blind, to this fact that we are the children of God, and that we have to keep the commandments. I mean, like, what's so hard about keeping the commandments? Doing what's right, stepping away from the heathen and doing the shit that we're doing, right? We already know that we came over here on those slave ships and that we got carried away, that we got sold over here by those Hamites, by them dusty ass Hamites, right? That we got sold into captivity by dusty ass Ishmael, sand niggas over there, right? We got we know that us as a people that we're going through some type of hellish nightmare, right? Us as a people, like, we have to look at the places that we've been, and we have yet to question, why do we keep going through this over and over again? Why are we a laughing stock to the world? Why are we always at the bottom? Why do people hate us so much, right? Like every other people, right? They have their own lands. They have their own traditions and things of that nature. The only thing we do is we just adopt other people's traditions. Like, how you gonna like a father? That's just like that annoying dude that wants to follow you around and copy your style all the time. That's what we're doing. Like, nobody's not gonna like that, right? We have our own style, right? Even in the style of wickedness that we have, the other nations want to be like us. Even though we got, even though we do a lot of wicked things, right? But if we have our own, just like we have our own feast days, man, we have to come out of the ways of the heathen. We have to start obeying the law, statutes, and commandments and coming back, man, so we can get the hell up out of here.
The scriptures are clear, and it tells us what we're going to have to do in order to get up on out of here. And I'm going to read that in Jubilees chapter 1, and starting with verse 14 to 16. And it says, "And I will hide my face from them, and I will deliver them into the hand of the other nations for captivity, and for a prey, and for devouring. And I will remove them from the midst of the land, and I will scatter them amongst the other nations, which we are scattered to now." And it says, "And they will forget all my Torah, and all my commandments, and all my judgments, and will go astray as to the new moons, and Shabbats, and feast, and jubilees, and ordinance." This right here was the breaking point. This would make me become so interested in just trying to figure out, hey, how can we bring back something that our people has lost for so many years. Verse 16, and it says, "And after this they will turn to me from amongst the other nations with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength, and I will gather them from amongst all the other nations, and they will seek me, so that I shall be found of them, when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul." So, right now our people are not crying out right now. Our people are too comfortable. Our people are too comfortable in this heathen's world. They love it. They're drowning in it like gravy on rice. And so, our people aren't crying out. Our people are not keeping the commandments. And they love this lifestyle of the heathens. So it's going to take something so drastic to get our people to cry out. And once they start crying out and everything, once they start realizing, getting back to these commandments, that's when the Most High is going to hear His people. But until then, we keep spinning our wheels and on a ruckus, doing wicked stuff. We're going to continue to go down that rabbit hole.
Jubilees. Let me get Jubilees 2 and verse 9, just real quick, right? Last scripture. Well, I'll let Brother Daniel have something else you want to go over. It says, "And God appointed the sun to be a great sign of the earth for days and for Sabbaths, right? So that kills that argument right there. If you want to have anyone that says, "Oh yeah, well the moon," this is point blank, and God appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts of the 4 years, and the Sabbaths of the years, so forth and so on, right? So so it's very clear that that the sun is what marks the days, right?
Yep.
So it's not the moon that marks the first days of the month, right? Because we know that we don't have 28 and a half days or any of that other stuff.
Mhm.
Right? That marks the seasons of the year. Even though also the sun also marks the seasons as it also marks the days, but like or as the moon marks the exact days of the seasons. Or as like every 3 new moons we have a season change, right? Because we have 12 months of the year, right? And we have the new moons. Sometimes you might have more than one new moon within a month, right? You know what I'm saying? But we have exact months. It tells you like once in the 4th month. Hold on, man. Let me bring that up. Go ahead, man. Let me find out real quick, man.
No, and what you read too also confirms in the book of Enoch. And this is why you know that when you see precepts like this, about the sun bringing in and closing out the new year, same thing in Enoch, as you study through the calendar. It is the sun that brings in New Year, not the moon. All right, and I can show you and prove to you that the moon does not bring in the new year. So let me show that to you. Let's go to Jubilee 6, and that's why like a lot of camps don't accept it. Yeah. 6. So I'm gonna read Jubilee 6:23 right quick. It says, "For there will be those who will certainly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year, 10 days too short."
Oh no, that's not that.
No, I want to read this part just to show that.
Okay,
I want to bring out a point. The reason why people go off the new moons, you're not supposed to go off the new moons. It says, "For this reason, the years will come upon them, and they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day of feast, day. And they will confuse all the days, and the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Shabbats and feasts and jubilees." So basically what this is saying here is that because people, are going off the new moons and everything, it's throwing everything off. And this is why like the feasts are going to be different every year. And in verse 38, I'll read this part and then I'll give it back to you. "For this reason I command and testify to you that you may testify of them. For after your death, your children will disrupt them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason, they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Shabbats and feasts, and they will eat all the kings of all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh."
All right, let me so Jubilee 6:23, right? This is another thing because this is to build on Jubilees 2:9, where it says that the sun marks the days, the Shabbats and also the seasons as well, right? But it's talking about the seasons as far as like within the months, because we know that on the new moon of the 1st month, right, and on the new moon of the 4th month, and on the new moon of the 7th month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained in the testimony forever. Now, right, what that means is that, let's say, for example, we do have 13 new moons, right, within a month. I mean, 13 new moons within a year. That doesn't really matter, right, because it says that, it says on the new moon of the 1st month. So let's say, for example, if you have a 2 new moons that pop up in the 10th month, right? And on the 1st and on the let's say the 1st and then on the 30th or something like that, right? You would see that a selection, right? The 1st and then let's say on the 26th or something like that, right? Or the 28th. It says, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days to remember. So let's say, for example, that means that even if that's not going to be that saying, if you have 2 new moons in 1 month, right? That new month, the new month that pops up, that new moon that's in that month doesn't have anything to do with that other month.
Exactly.
right? So it just always within those particular months. In the first month, the 4th month, the 7th month, and the 10th month. With every new moon that you have in that month right there, that pop off first, those are the markers of the seasons, right? So fall, winter, summer, and and autumn, like Brother Daniel was saying earlier, right? So we have the four divisions of the year. So and what marks those months would be the sun passing the days, right? So you have 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, so forth and so on, right? Until we get 364 days.
That's right.
All right. Do we have any other questions, comments, or concerns? Unless Brother Daniel has something. Hey, brother, you have anything else?
Yeah, so just again, just study these calendars. Y'all know where to get the calendar from. We have them posted on all our channels. Download the calendars. We just ask you to study them. Just be diligent about it and just study. Just put in the work and go over it. And this is how you rehearse the scriptures. You have to constantly go over the scriptures. You're not going to just read them once and then expect for it to stick in your head. You got to constantly go over these scriptures and ingrain them in your scriptures. Because we can sit there and do everything else, and our young people can memorize little rap verses and stuff like that, but yet we can't memorize scriptures.
Right. Get your tent. Right, get y'all a tent. We got that stuff coming up for the Feast of Tabernacles.
Mm-hmm.
Find you a little place where you can hang out. Maybe like Brother Daniel was saying, in the backyard, or maybe if you got your little campground, you might have to go out there and camp out, and then pack up in the morning and ride out and then get your day done or whatever. Right. Yep. But we need to rehearse these righteous acts. We got to rehearse these righteous acts. We got to keep it in practice. So this stuff becomes a habit, just like you used to celebrate Christmas every year and you can't wait for that. Same way you need to be looking forward towards these feast days.
That's right, man. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So, take your shofars, y'all, if you got your shofars, and celebrate the feast, because I'm getting ready to do it myself.
Wait for Brother Daniel to pass out. Let him blow the...
All right. Say shalom and stay strong.
Shalom and stay strong, bro.
And happy Feast of Trumpets.